Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The drug abuse epidemic didn't go away with the virus arrived from China. So America has been fighting two epidemics. In fact, COVID made the overdose epidemic even worse. Before the virus arrived, opioid deaths in America had already increased by 18% nationwide over the previous year, and emergency visits were up almost 30%. Now, fast forward to today, just 12 months later, overdose rates are now up nearly 30% more over last year. Allegheny County in Maryland is up 111% since last year. You heard Gus Bilirakis in Florida refer to one of his counties is up 71%. And for Miss Blunt Rochester, last spring in Delaware, they were up 11%, but since that time last year, they're up 47% in 1 year's time. My home county in West Virginia is up 51% in the past year. So in fact, until a surge of the virus at the end of last year, West Virginia was experiencing more deaths from opioids than from COVID. So Congress seems to be unable to handle two epidemics at the same time. According to a Harvard economist, COVID is going to cost the American economy over $16 trillion. But Congress is committed to over $6 trillion to address the issue. That means Congress has invested about 35% of the cost of the virus to fight it. That's impressive. That investment will hopefully put this pandemic in the rearview mirror. But the opioid crisis will continue to be a scourge on communities. Now, let's put this in perspective. According to the NIH, drug abuse costs the American economy approximately $270 billion a year. But last year, we allocated just nearly $8 billion to fight it. So when you calculate that, that's less than 3% of what the disease costs the American economy. So 3% with opioids versus 35% with COVID. Does that seem fair? Let me try framing it another way from an engineering perspective. COVID deaths are 5 times that of overdoses with drugs, 5 times. But we're spending 750 times more money to battle that over drug abuse. So what I'm asking, should the overdose epidemic be taken more seriously by Congress? Since states have not necessarily followed the intent of Congress, my amendment calls for an additional $3 billion to SAMHSA that would be dedicated for treating substance abuse. Congress can fund it, for example, from the $350 billion allocated to state and local governments. That amount is less than 1% of the funds that we would be giving to state and local governments. A decrease of 1% will not hurt their efforts, but a 1% will make a huge difference for communities and families suffering from this pain of addiction. I urge this committee to balance the funding better between these two epidemics. Accepting this amendment will not hold up passage of this bill. Just think about it. 35% for one virus versus 3% for another crisis. I don't know about you, but I don't know any economist would think that that's a fair trade-off. I yield back.